Silence is complicity. 1 year after October 7, I break my silence not because I suddenly found the words. In fact, I've never had fewer words or more rage. My newest family member told me to be where my feet are. With my feet so far away from home, I felt I was not in an optimal position to contribute or add anything of value, especially in light of the great reporting and commentary from the ground in Lebanon. But I can no longer stay where my feet are, not while I'm so heavy-hearted by the killing machines funded both by Iran and the world's most liberal democracies, including the United States, wreaking havoc on my beautiful, beloved Levant and Middle East. My heavy heart now outweighs my trembling feet and is forcefully dragging them back towards Beirut, despite my physical inability to return. This dissonance was the first reason for my silence. The second reason is far more complex, and explaining it requires more bluntness, bravery, and time than I currently have. But briefly, the second reason is that this is really complicated. And hold on, Arab friends, I hear you when you righteously criticize people in the West who use that "it's too complicated" excuse as a cop-out to evade facing the truth. But this is not what's happening here. If you know me, or if you are one of the people who sent me messages of disappointment at my silence, then you would know that I'm not some foreigner given a diplomatic, pleasing all answer. As someone who specializes in the Arab-Israeli struggle, as someone whose family members are currently enduring Israeli bombardments and airstrikes, I tell you this is complicated. I am fed up with my cowardice. Utilizing this page and this platform in the past to fight against corruption, domestic abuse, racism, and other social problems in Lebanon is not as brave as I once thought. There is at the very least some consensus in the Middle East that racism and corruption are bad. So it's much easier to champion such salient and clear truths, and turns out it's much more daunting to find the courage to stand up for the one truth that has the least consensus and the most controversy. Now that's a truth I'm still searching for the courage to iterate. The courage to mourn my Beirut, my Jnub, most importantly our fallen innocents in Lebanon, while maintaining that I was and am against Hezbollah's involvement in the war on October 8th. Without abandoning the Palestinian cause or diminishing the importance of standing up for the Palestinian people during a gruesome occupation and an egregious massacre. The Palestinian people clearly do need and deserve the world's support in their valid plight for liberation. But Lebanon, too, is in an ongoing battle for its own liberation, independence, and sovereignty. So when you talk about October 7, I urge you to talk about October 17th, the glorious protest movement of October 17, 2019, where thousands of patriots in Lebanon protested the entire Lebanese ruling class headed by Hezbollah. The entire, كلهم, remember? The entire Lebanese government, whose corruption and murderous past and present should not be forgiven and forgotten because Israel is criminally using white phosphorus bombs and indiscriminately bombing even areas inhabited by Hezbollah's most staunch opponents. I seek the courage to remain consistent. Both of these things are true. Israel should be held accountable for its past and present war crimes and aggressions, and the entire ruling Lebanese class should be held accountable for storing explosives which detonated in the Beirut port in August 2020, for preventing innocent civilians like my mother, innocent citizens, from accessing cancer and other life-saving medications, and stealing and robbing our life savings in the banks. The whole reason behind starting this page was to advocate against the entire Lebanese regime and to advocate for a sovereign Lebanon. In Lebanon, we deserve a parliament, a representative parliament that convenes constitutionally and democratically decides how to best support our brothers and sisters in Palestine in a manner that reflects the will of the entire Lebanese people, not a segment of the Lebanese population. At a time when we desperately need every voice and need unity more than ever before, we are silencing one another. If you're an expat living in a so-called liberal democracy with freedom of expression and dare to call out Israel for proven war crimes, you run the risk of losing your livelihood. You are ostracized and are called an anti-Semite. And if you're an Arab who calls out anti-Semitism or values all civilian life equally, you are ostracized once again and called a traitor. I'm sick of cowardly prioritizing what I will be called and how I will be judged over speaking my honest heart and mind. The pain I feel today is bigger and deeper than caring for what I'll be called, than caring for any judgment, or than requiring your validation or assessment. So call me what you may. My honest convictions on this topic have constantly upset pro-Israeli and pro-Arab ears alike, and I wonder why. I published these words today not despite of, but in honor of and in regret for the blood of my Lebanese people that has not yet dried and that continues to be spilled. No one will ever cancel anyone, and no one will ever make it out of this without everyone else by their side. And I continue to believe that the fringe minority that not only accepts but appreciates the inevitable and inherent Arab Jewish nature of the Levant is the one with the most realistic chances to ever see occupation end and liberation materialize.